Hi there, Mamie here, and today we're going to be working on a half composition book, half pencil tumbler for a teacher's gift. And we're going to start out by prepping our cup. I've got a 30-ounce standard curve here, and I am just going to sand the whole cup really well. And a lot of parts are going to be cut off because I can't fit it all into one video. So if you see me do something very fast, it's because I kind of cut it off, but I didn't want to leave out any steps. So I sanded and prepped by using some alcohol to wipe off the cup after I did the sanding. And now we're going to create a line down the side of the tumbler on both sides to break it in half. And I'm using some painter's tape here, and I'm going to pull it down from the sides on both sides, and that will create the first side that we're going to work on, which is going to be the composition book side of the tumbler. So now I've got here some glitter from the Glitter Zoo, and it looks like the composition book, so it was the closest that I had, and I think it worked out really well. So I'm going to start off by layering a little bit of Mod Podge and some black paint, and I'm going to paint that on there really well. And this way that will give me a base, and so any parts that the glitter kind of shows through a little bit, you won't be able to see the stainless steel. You'll just see the black in the background. And yeah, so that's what that's for. And I mix the Mod Podge in there with it so that it gives it a little bit extra adhesion for the glitter to stay on. And now I'm just pouring that all over the cup. This cup is very, very simple, and it's also really, really pretty. So that's why I wanted to do this one today, a tutorial on this one. And we have Teacher Appreciation Week next week, so I'm doing tons of these kind of tumblers, so I wanted to go ahead and post that. So after I put that on there, I start patting down this glitter because it is quite chunky, and if I pat it down, then I won't need as many layers of resin. So I'm going to just peel that painter's tape right off, and we're going to move on to working on the next side of the tumbler. And I've got a little bit of white primer here. I'm going to paint that on, and that is just going to give me a nice base for my acrylic paints to go over. Most of the time I use spray paint. I prefer spray paint, but in instances where you have like little bitty areas that need acrylic paint, I make sure to always put a white primer underneath. So now I'm going to create the lines for my pencil tumbler, and I'm actually using a pencil to mark those lines. And what I do is I just have a little paint can here, and then I prop up whatever else on top of the paint can to give me the right height that I need to draw a line, because I need a line for the eraser and for the silver part. So that right there is for the lead of the pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in, and then I will be drawing other lines for the other parts of the cup as well. So again, I'm using black paint and a little bit of Mod Podge. Now you can use masking tape to keep your lines crisp. I didn't want to waste a lot of masking tape, painter's tape, masking tape, whatever. I think painter's tape is actually the best thing to use, so you won't pill up any of the paint underneath. Yeah, I didn't want to use any painter's tape because I didn't want to waste a lot of painter's tape, and I just felt comfortable that I could just get a pretty straight line on this one. And if it's not perfectly straight, it's okay, because we are going to add pieces of vinyl, long strips of vinyl around some of the straight parts, so it can hide a lot of the issues that you have, and I'll show you that later on. But this line came out pretty straight, so we're all good, and we're going to wipe off the excess. And I'm going to flip the cup over now, and we are going to work on the eraser and the silver part underneath the eraser that holds the eraser in place. I'm just doing the same thing, and now I've used something else to prop up on the paint can to give me a different height for my line. Now I'm just using some pink acrylic paint and a little bit of Mod Podge. so we can fill in the pink part. And I'm using all kinds of different glitters. So if there's a specific glitter that you like, just comment down below and I can answer your question for you. Most of the glitters that I use are from, in this video, are from Glitter Zoo or, oh, let me see, Pamper Your Princess, which is one of my favorites. Love her glitter. So, and then some of them are just from Amazon. So just ask me down below if you have any questions about it. So here I'm sprinkling this on. And yes, these glitters here are from Pamper Your Princess. She has great pricing and great glitter. I love ordering from her. We're going to wipe off that excess and move on to the next area. Now, if you'd like a little bit more punch to your glitter, like a more depth, a deeper color, you can go over your glitter twice. I didn't here because I didn't feel like I really needed to. But if you feel like you're not getting that depth that you want, you can just put a little bit of Mod Podge right over that glitter once it dries, and you can sprinkle the glitter again and give you more depth. Sorry if you hear my parrot screaming in the background. He's trying to get into the office, but I'm trying to do this voiceover right now. Okay, so now I'm just adding a little bit of white paint or white primer to that black that I already had previously to turn it into gray so I can use it for the silver area. And your painting doesn't have to be perfect. It's just so that you can have a little bit of color in the background in case it kind of shows through your glitter. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're going to dust off the excess here. Oh, and I also used my little handy screwdriver there to tap off the excess. And here is where it all went wrong. My phone stopped recording in the middle of it, but this is what I used. I used that stencil vinyl to cut out these soft triangles. And if you have questions about it, just let me know down below, or if you want to know how to do it. But it's very simple. Just cut out those soft rounded triangles and kind of join them together in my software for my brother's Scan and Cut, and it's very, very easy. But if you do have questions, just let me know. And then I just painted the whole thing in yellow and sprinkled some yellow on top of it, and I love this glitter. It's so sparkly. All these glitters are so sparkly. And now I'm using some brown paint to work on the wooden part of the pencil. And if you'd like to order a tumbler, I do have custom orders open sometimes. I also have an Etsy shop where I allow people to message me and give me different details they would like for specific cups. Like I have made to order cups, but then I do leave a space for different personalization. So if you want to write something different, or if you want to change the color of the glitter, you can do that. So if you'd like to check out my Etsy shop, you can message me down below, or just say something down below in the comments and I'll reply to you. So here I'm showing you guys where I covered all that glitter in that Rust-Oleum 2x ultra clear gloss spray paint. And I think I did it like 4 times. I did not want this glitter to move. So after you get done spraying that and it dries, then we can move on to putting on the epoxy. And I'm putting on a thick coat of the epoxy because we've got a lot going on here. Making sure to get that bottom. And before we let it roll, we're going to hit it with our torch here and get out any of the micro bubbles. And what I have found, if you're using a thick epoxy, or if you're using epoxy and you're putting on kind of a flood coat, you really want to come back after like 15 minutes and get the next set of bubbles that come out as well. So because you think you have all the bubbles out the first time around, but sometimes there might be a few that you didn't see. So you want to do it again after about 15 minutes. And then you can let it roll for like 8 hours. or however long. For me, I needed to let it dry a bit longer until it wasn't sticky at all so that I could move on to the next phase. And this is me cutting out the decal that I'm going to use, that I just, the composition part of the decal I got off Etsy, and then the other part I just used just the text in the software and created it. So we're going to give our cup a good sanding. And this is so our next layer of epoxy will stick really well, but it's also to even out the cup all over so that it's nice and smooth so that your decal will lay flat. And I'm also going to go ahead and clean up the rim of my cup. And as you can see here, I am using my craft knife, and I'm going around kind of at a 45-degree angle to kind of give me a little bit of a sliver at the top so that my resin will stick to that. And now I'm also going around with my tool here, and this just saves me a lot of time. Instead of trying to sand it all down, I just use this, and it cleans up that sliver at the top so that my resin will adhere really well to the top rim. I didn't want to leave any of this stuff out. I probably won't do this in every video, but I wanted you guys to kind of see the prep and the finishing all in one video, so I can refer back to this video for people that have questions about certain things about setting up a cup or finishing a cup. Now I'm using my alcohol to wipe off everything and get it nice and clean. I spent a lot of time wiping. And now I'm moving on to getting my decals off. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. I don't mean a lot of people already know this trick, but you should never assume that everybody does, because you'd be surprised how many people don't know all the hacks and tricks there are for using vinyl. So I'm going to do the reverse weeding for the composition area of the vinyl, because it had some really tiny little pieces. So here I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna need to do reverse weeding. So it's actually, instead of reverse weeding, I'm actually gonna put it on the cup first and then take it off, because sometimes your transfer tape isn't sticky enough, or sometimes it's too sticky. It's just, you can always have a problem that can be solved with reverse weeding. So I'll show you one that I don't use reverse weeding and one that I do. So down there where the text is, I'm not going to need to use any reverse weeding because the transfer tape works just fine. So here I'm taking my transfer tape, I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to set it on top of the white outline. So here I'm putting it on the white offset. And then get it out of the way so I can work on the composition decal. And like I said, I got the composition decal off of Etsy. It's very simple and easy to use. So here I'm taking the entire white part, and I'm going to put that on top of the black part, and then just put that directly on the cup. There's a lot of little teeny tiny words on here that need to be carefully handled. And I also have a hack for a situation that I run into that happens kind of often. Well, not often, but often enough for me to invest in paint pens. And I'm sure a lot of tumbler makers also have used this before. But if not, it can save you a lot of headache. So standard cups like these that don't have a smooth curve, that don't have the modern curve, you've got to be careful, because you can get a lot of folds in your vinyl and a lot of bumps in your vinyl because of that big edge right there that just kind of falls off. So you want to line it up. I wouldn't recommend doing one big image over this huge curve, because it is a pain. And sometimes I forget, and I have to really, really work hard to fix a situation that I've gotten myself into. So, yeah, so it's best you can do words. I would, words are okay, but I wouldn't do a large image unless, you're very good at it, because it's not easy. So what your other option would be to get the new modern curve cup, and instead of this standard curve, and it's a little bit easier to work over the curve. And so this, I just broke it in two so that I could put the two parts above the edge and the one part below the edge, and it saved me a lot of drama. So I've got that done and ready, and now I'm going to work on the label for the composition book. Just going to line that up, press that on really well. And if you have any bubbles, you can smooth those out. And now I am taking out, see how tiny those letters are? I don't have a Cricut. I used to, but I use the Brother Scan and Cut now. I'm not sure if the Cricut cuts something this small a lot better. From what I've seen, I've had issues with most of my machines being able to cut these little tiny areas. But I don't know. I kind of have always struggled with these little tiny letters. So I've kind of had to overcome that using different methods. So like right here, you can see on this 200, like one of the middle parts left somewhere. And some of the middle parts of the other letters left too. So I use a paint pen, or I use a jelly pen, and I just go in and put the dots back where they go. And you can get these jelly pens in like every single color. So you should be able to find a color to match whatever you need to fill that in. And it always ends up working out great. So this one has a fine tip, so it's easier for these smaller intricate things. And then I use the other paint pen for a little bit larger areas. So now that's looking great, and I'm feeling good about it. And now I've cut these strips out to line certain areas of the cup. And I'm going to put it on the outlines on the sides. And you can cut these to whichever width you need. If you have some bigger boo-boos on the side there, you can make your strips a little bit wider. I probably should have gone a little bit wider, but I already had them cut out, and I was like, well, this will be good enough. So I just rolled with it, and I needed 2 strips for the bottom and to go across, so I just kept going. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy. We have some really bad allergies going on in this house right now. But I really wanted to get this out this week, this video out. And so now we're going to line the metal part on the cup. And I've seen some of these pencil tumblers where people will literally line every part of the cup, which I think looks really cute. I mean, I might do that for like, 1 cup or something, but for the most part, I just put my outlines on the silver. And then obviously if you need to if you're doing a half cup, you can also, it's advised to break it up with another strip. So there, everything is looking really good, and I'm just showing you guys here me putting more epoxy now on top of everything and popping those bubbles and letting it spin for 8 to 12 hours. And here is how they came out. Well, how it came out, both sides, the composition book side and the pencil side. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'll be making another video tutorial soon, and leave any comments below. Bye!